Everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. Today we are doing a book. An adult book? No. We are doing another Slappyworld book. It is the third book in the series. It came out in 2017, and the title of it is I Am Slappy's Evil Twin. And actually, there are two Slappies in the book, as it's suggesting, but one has green eyes and the other has black eyes.
Do you know what that noise was, Safi?
No.
That was the noise that I made when I found out I had to read another Slappy book.
It's your idea.
What do you mean? It's just for ranking purposes that we read all the books in the series.
Well, I'm reading another Tony Hillerman book, and I'm just about done with that, too, and going to start my next
God,
one.
Safi, get off it. That's over now. They ruined that forever. Like, get off of that now.
Actually, I have an announcement. They might be doing a season 3.
Ugh.
They don't know yet.
They better not stay at the party too long, you know. You know what Vince Gilligan and Peter Gould said? They said, you have to know when to leave the party.
Well, my comment to that was, Ann Hillerman, please step in and take the reins of the show. And the other comment was, you need more episodes. And I noticed, even though some people really loved it, they said they need more episodes.
And I say that
almost everybody says that.
I say that too because, you know, nowadays people are so privileged that all they do with every show is say, like, oh no, the show's going on too long. Oh no, the show's going on too long. Like, guys, if you could believe it, Cobra Kai, back in season 3, when season 3 came out, people were saying that 3 seasons was too much. They were saying, this show should have ended a season ago. This show should have ended already. It doesn't need a season 3. It's going on too long. It's like, that's all people say nowadays, so it's true.
That's silly. Well, Tony Hillerman wrote either 17 or 18 books, and then his daughter, when he died, wrote several more. So there's a lot of information for that. As far as Goosebumps books,
I really hope that
a lot of those.
Well, I hope that no one ever replaces R.L. Stine, who, like, you know, let's say that R.L. Stine dies. Let's hope that if someone does replace him, that they're a good writer.
I don't know. It's interesting. You know, Stephen King has a son, and I didn't realize he writes. And then of course, Tony Hillerman's daughter took over and really has done a pretty good job. She's the one who's developed Bernie's character more. He kind of had her in there, but she really fleshed her out. And so, and then of course Joe retires eventually. He talks about it too. So, you know, it is nice to have somebody to be able to take over, but that isn't always.
What was that you were saying about Slappy?
There's a lot of those books. How many Slappies did you say?
I have no idea.
Several. Multiple.
So this book, I guess Safi's not going to talk.
Well, go ahead.
This book...
Talk about the origin story of this Slappy?
There's a stupid origin. It's different from the one in Slappy Beware, and it's not as good, in my opinion. It's nowhere near as good. It's basically like a cliche, stereotypical, like, old-timey village blames inventor for bad stuff, and then
everything that's wrong with the world.
And then they try to destroy his work and blah blah blah. It's like, this story's been done. That was not very good at all.
I was surprised they didn't burn his house down.
And they always cut the story off. Like, if you're gonna do these old-timey stories, it'd be cool if, like, that was the whole story, so that then you could do something different. You could have different stuff happen. Like, for instance, how do you make a unique Slappy book. Well, you could set the whole thing in this era, in the origin story. Why not?
Well, that would be interesting.
They couldn't just do the same old shit that they do in modern day. There's a group of kids. Slappy is there in the house. Slappy causes trouble.
They get in trouble.
Kids,
Nobody believes them.
kids
They're alive.
get in trouble. Slappy causes trouble again. Kids get in trouble again.
Well,
and then finally, they defeat Slappy in a very convenient and easy way. And then there's a twist. Yay! Oh my god, Slappy's so amazing! Right, Safi? That's every single Slappy book. Like,
that's why we wondered anyway to begin with why he just picked Slappy to make this series, because
well, as I
said,
said,
the only character who's popular.
As I said, it would be a cool idea for a Slappy world where he knows all these stories somehow. He has all this info that he can give you about, like, the monsters. Maybe he had encounters with the characters before. Like, there's all sorts of creative things he could have done. You know, you could have had a Slappy multiverse, maybe for one book. You know, you could have done all sorts of things, but instead, it's like, it was basically just a gimmick. Like, oh, look, here's a Slappyworld book. Are you going to buy this book, kids? Oh, no!
Oh, boy. Whoops.
That was just like, see, that's what this was like, this whole series. It's like, you know, you better buy this book because it's got Slappy in it. It's got Slappy in the title. Slappyworld. You know, it's like no kid would care about buying just a normal Goosebumps book, apparently.
Or a Goosebumps book about any other subject besides Slappy. I don't understand that. I don't know if Scholastic asked him to do that, or
I don't
he
know.
wanted to do that. It's interesting to know whose idea that was.
Well,
it
it was a great idea if you were creative enough to do stuff with it. But if you're just going to use it as a gimmick, it's not worth it at all. Like, the narration, once again, was stupid and pointless. You know, the reader, though, was good. The reader who did this whole book, the audio book, he was actually very good.
And I've said this before with other books I've read. It makes a big difference if you have a good reader. If you don't have a good reader, you almost... you can't even take the book seriously. It really hurts the book.
And the story here is typical Slappy story with two little tiny changes. Number one, the kids have a dad and he's a movie maker, and there's like a movie museum in the attic with props and stuff.
He's a collector too. He's collected all these things.
And the kids are going to be allowed to be in one of his movies, apparently. And so that's very interesting. You could do a lot with that, right? Like, the kids could go to set. You could have Slappy in a movie, fucking up a movie, messing with people on set, messing with actors. Oh, no. We can't do any of that because that's too hard.
Well, that would have been interesting. I mean, the story, the bulk of the story takes place at their house. And they also have a friend named Jamal. And he's a genius, and he's putting together a model of a drone. And actually that kind of plays a part in it because he needs a propane tank for some reason, which is odd because a lot of van lifers won't use propane tanks because they're so dangerous. And they know it's dangerous.
That's because they're losers, Safi.
No, they're not. They're just safe. They don't want to blow up their house because their trailer or whatever you want to call it is their house. But anyway, they know it's dangerous too, so they're always talking about it. And
the other twist is that Slappy has a twin named Snappy, and
and I knew this was going to be a problem right at the start, before they even told the story. because one is, well, we didn't know this yet either, but one has black eyes, that's Snappy, and he's supposed to be the good twin. And Slappy, the one you all know, or everybody knows, had green eyes. And he's the bad twin, the evil twin.
And it's funny because on the cover, the artist was not, I guess he was not informed of the eye color, so he made both dummies have brown eyes.
Which, that is pretty bad that they did not. That's very significant. Extremely significant. And they didn't tell him. I don't understand that at all. Why that how that could happen. And they don't think people are going to pick up on stuff like that. They're insane, basically. So, basically, they go through this whole story, and I knew this was going to be a problem because right at the start, they have some problems between the two. It's not that they're just causing problems for the kids. You know, they do bad things. The kids get blamed. The father doesn't believe them, that they're alive. And that was another thing, too. And it said this on the internet, was that this is the only book where nobody said any magic words.
Yeah, they were already alive, and then they revealed themselves in the beginning to the kids, in the very beginning. And I thought, oh shit, if they're going to reveal themselves now... I can't wait to see what's in store. Dun dun dun. You know, you have the same old shit. Like just
old stuff.
There was this stupid part where the kid is told by Slappy that they'll just leave. The dummies will just leave if the kid reads these stupid jokes out loud to the dad's friend when he came over. And Slappy's reading them on a microphone.
It's a business partner, too. It was a business meeting.
An earphone. So, it was so stupid, though, because the jokes were like these really wimpy, childish jokes, like, your nose is like a cucumber. And it's like, and then what happens is even weirder, because the dad's friend is so upset and offended and hurt that he gets up and storms off and leaves. And I thought, like, you know, either R.L. Stine is really, 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 like, trying to make, like, a satire on how pussified adults have become in 2023, or in this case, 2017, or he's trying to make it seem like an actual adult would be offended by these wimpy jokes.
Well, they were... He was a business friend, and they were horror people, so
yeah,
jokes were like humor, like comedy.
That's even worse, because like horror people, they deal with a lot of worse stuff than that, like just in general.
It was just ridiculous.
That was stupid.
One thing was ridiculous, that the guy was so offended. That's number one. And number two was that the kids would actually think that what Slappy told them that they were going to do. He said, if you do this, because he fed them the information in a special earpiece from another room. And if you do this, we're going to go away. I'm like, really? Are you joking? You people believe that? And he said he had no choice. And that's just BS.
You know, something like that... They actually, he's done that before, not in a Slappy book, I don't think, but in Revenge of the Lawn Gnomes, there is a very cool part, probably the best part of the book, where the lawn gnomes tell the kids that if they help them escape or something, that they'll leave, and they take the gnomes to this gnome store, and they're like, look, all these gnomes are actually imprisoned. And if you just help set them free, then, you know, we'll all leave. And it turns out to be a trick, of course. And so that was actually really cool. The best part of that D+ book. This was just stupid.
But I knew. So what happens is, like every other Slappy book, kids get in trouble. Dad doesn't believe them. It's the dummies. They're alive. He even misbehaved in front of their friends, so the friend is aware of it too. But the problem, the little twist, one of the little twists, is that they get into fights. They're like siblings. They get in it, and they hit each other, or they say terrible things to each other. But it's usually the bad Slappy that's who you would expect to be the person who inflicts the pain or says the terrible things. And so I thought, my thought was at the very beginning, it would be their undoing. That they would have a fight, and it was like they loved to fight, and it was in their nature, and they were just fought and fought and fought. And well, there's more that happens, but I thought that would be their undoing, and it was. Except another twist happens, and you'll see.
It just reminded me of Bride of the Living Dummy, where Slappy fights Mary Ellen.
Yeah.
And
this was his twin brother, except with a different eye color.
Oh, but not on the cover.
Not on the cover. And the good twin had the black eyes, I guess we said, and the bad one had the green ones. So
the dad in this book I did not like. But
that was funny too, because for somebody who does horror, you find unexpected things happening constantly.
Yeah.
And they may be really violent, they may be really weird, they may be like pop-up scares. There's all kinds of ways to be weird, of course. And he doesn't believe anything they say. Nothing. And even their friend says it, and he just says, oh, well, you're their friend, so that's why you're saying it.
And he's such a dipshit, because, like, every single, like, I would imagine, like, even without Slappy, he's a terrible father. Because, like, all he does is talk to them about, like, movie ideas and shit, like, not, like, in a cool way, but in a way where they're, like, it would be the equivalent, and now I genuinely believe that this would happen with this shitty dad. Because they're so weird. They were eating fucking, like, avocado. What was that they were eating? I texted you.
Avocado macaroni and cheese?
No, avocado macaroni salad. Ew.
I don't know what that is.
Cold macaroni.
Oh, God.
With avocado. Like, ew.
I don't think I'd like that.
No.
I like those two, but
no. Not cold and
like
together.
That.
So the dad, like, what if the kids were like, Daddy, there was this man, and he approached us on the street, and he molested us? What would this dad do, Safi? He would say, that is a great horror movie idea.
And he kept saying that, too. That was another thing. They would say, the dummies are alive. We didn't do that. We didn't break your $1,000 ceramic. I don't know anybody who'd have a $1,000 ceramic statue of Edgar Allan Poe. The thought of that just blows my mind.
Daddy, we witnessed a baby being kidnapped by two very strong Mexican men, and it was very intense and scary.
Oh, that is a great horror movie idea.
Yeah, he just said that over and over. And it was like so frustrating for them.
He's so spaced out.
Yeah. So, let me see. Do you want to just jump to the end then? It was funny because we both agreed it went on too long.
Yeah.
All this intro stuff. We call it an intro time because, they would just do this. The stuff would happen over and over again. The dummies would cause a problem for the kids would get blamed for it. The dad wouldn't believe them when they told them otherwise because they told them all along the dummies were alive. No, they're not. He was going. Okay, well, another one thing. The dummies were very upset with the dad because they were collectibles, and like I said, and Marco said, Up in the Attic was kind of like a small scale horror museum of objects that he had collected, And of course, he paid big money for some of them. And he was going to sell the Slappies to different collectors so they would be separated. Well, they didn't want to be separated, which is odd because they're constantly fighting. But they didn't want to be separated. They're twins, so they wanted to get back at the dad, and they wanted to ruin his movie, or I don't know exactly what they wanted to do, but they wanted to ruin his life in some way.
And the dad, he promised his kids for like months that they would be in the movie. Well, guess what? He changes his mind. He says, "F you guys,"
because they kept claiming that everything that was happening was attributable to the dummies because they were alive.
And so the kids, they actually think that the Slappies stole this propane tank and took it to the set so that they could blow up the set, which I thought that was pretty dark because, like, if they had done that for real, something like that would have been pretty interesting and set this book apart. But no. And so they go to the set and they have to, like, break in there.
When they're doing a scene.
It's this whole stupid thing.
And this is another question I had. They were doing a scene. So they had a room and there was a red light blinking above it, and that means they were doing a scene and nobody was allowed to go in. Well, they were so upset because they thought that the dummies had brought the propane tank with them and they were going to blow, and they were afraid for everybody's life. They thought they were in danger. So they opened the door, and then, I don't know, they said all these explosions went off and lots of noise and alarms. And I'm like, really? Is that true? Would that really have happened? Maybe alarm?
Well,
I don't
we should
know.
also mention there were these weird, like, Jack Black tributes. Like, the movie that the dad was making was called I Married a Dummy, which is similar to Jack Black's wait a second. Oh, whoopsie, I got that confused with Mike Myers. Mike Myers did a movie, or wait, was it?
I don't know.
It was either Mike Myers or Jack Black, and he did a movie called I Married an Axe Murderer.
I'll have to look it up.
And I haven't seen it, though. And then there was also this guy who handles the dummies, and the way they described him was very similar to Jack Black. That was kind of weird and unnecessary.
Well, they were in the movie, apparently. Or they were going to be in the movie, I guess.
The dummies were.
Yeah, the dummies.
And apparently there's no replicas of them, which is very,
that's
very
not
odd.
right either.
Yeah, like, I have a wardrobe from a Texas Chainsaw movie, and it was just one of several wardrobes. Like, they made multiple ones for different scenes and environments. And in fact, the actress even said that she kept one of the wardrobes as well. So it's like, you have to, for the most part, unless you're like a small time and you can't afford that or can't afford to do that. You have to have replicas and stuff of these dummies and props and things.
Well, that was another thing. That was not... This wasn't brought up until almost the end. And I didn't know the dummies were going to be in the movie.
I did.
Oh, well, I guess I
He
missed
mentioned
it.
that multiple times.
Oh, I missed it. But anyway, so they were there, and they were hanging up in the trailer of this, quote, puppeteer who reminded Marco of Jack Black. Because the way he talked about him. So, that's why they were really scared. They thought, well, they're there. They probably got the propane tank. But guess what? There's a twist. What happened with the... Was the propane tank there? Because they didn't see it anywhere. Where was it, Marco?
It was at home.
It had been moved far away from the house. And who moved it? Was it
dad.
the dummies? The dad. You know why? Because it was dangerous.
But the dad was a dummy, so...
Yeah, well, but so anyway, they didn't have anything to worry about because the dummies didn't have anything to do with moving the propane tank. They weren't going to do anything. Not there. In fact, it looked like they never had any intention of doing, because what happens, the kids go back home, and what happens with the dummies? They follow them, they come home too, and the dummies got in a big fight. And they're like, they completely ignore kids. I mean, they're so into their fight. And they get closer and closer to the garage, and then in back of the garage is where the propane tank has been stowed by the father, because it was dangerous. And guess what the dummies do? Not intentionally, no. They accidentally knocked it over in their fight. And what happens?
It explodes, and explodes the garage.
That's on fire.
And then the dad comes home, and this was where it, like, really sped up again.
Really fast.
Like the last book. The dad said, "Oh, I know all about the dummies, kids, because I just so happened to be following you home, even though we were supposed to be shooting a fucking movie. And I just so happened to be following you home, and I saw the dummies fighting. And so I believe you now, because I saw it and stuff." And so this is where it got even worse, because they had a really easy time defeating Slappy. Literally all they had to do was have the dad pick up Slappy and throw him in the fire. Like, there was no fight or anything. It was just 1, 2, 3,
and he was going to do that. We have to say, the quote, bad Slappy, the one with the green eyes, he flew in the explosion. In other words, the explosion knocked him way far away. We don't even know what happened to him.
What?
The green-eyed Slappy was thrown from
Safi.
the scene.
Safi, they have this whole part at the end where they have to look at the two and determine which one is bad by the eye color, and then the dad throws the bad one in the fire. Remember?
No, I thought that he was about ready to throw him in the fire.
Was he?
Yeah, and they stopped him.
But
the other one had been thrown. Nobody threw him.
No, I thought
the explosion knocked him like 3 neighborhoods away or something.
I thought that they looked at both of them and determined which one they had to throw in the fire.
No, I could be mistaken.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
I just listened to it.
It just happened so fast.
It happened extremely fast, but I thought the bad Slappy, and of course we don't know what happens to it. That's what happened. The explosion knocked him. They said they saw him flying in the air. It looked like he was swimming way far away. They didn't even see the body. So, I mean, they could have gone to pick him up. And then the other one, the one with the black eyes, they said, and the father said, "Okay, well, I'm just going to take care of this. I'm just going to get rid of this one." And of course, he's the one with the black eyes, and apparently, or so he says, he's the good Slappy. And they said, "Oh, no, Dad, don't do that. He's the good Slappy. You don't have to do that." But guess what? There's a twist.
A stupid twist.
They shouldn't have done it. I don't agree with it. But it's Slappy, so go ahead. You can tell him.
Snappy reveals that he's actually evil too, and he was just pretending to be a nice guy. So then he says it's time to make a movie now.
Yeah, something like "You're My Slaves," or Snappy Slaves, or something.
If I swear to God, they need to have a book where Slappy is at a black kid's house, and he says, "You're my slave," and the black kid says, "Uh-oh, you're canceled now." You can't say that. You're canceled.
He says that they say that in every book. That's one thing they do in every book. It's the same. So I think my idea was that they should have just kept him good, and then the bad one would turn up eventually. Nobody said he was destroyed.
Yeah, the bad Slappy could have just walked up on the house.
Yeah, more story could have happened.
But no, it had to be over though, so...
Yeah, because he was already... Like I said, they have a limited amount of words and time for the recording, and they can't go beyond it. And so you can tell, he realizes that he's up to his limit, and he stops the story. So I'll go back and listen. It's not that long.
Well, I will give the book, I will say, the 2 words to describe this book are missed opportunity, because I was also thinking it would have been really cool to see the Slappy and Snappy do like a comedy routine at the same time. You know, like in front of a crowd, like, you know, all the other Slappy books with Slappy, the talent show type of stuff. That would have been really cool and different. 2 Slappies doing a comedy routine, and then also not utilizing the movie studio at all. Basically, was just a huge letdown. Very, very bizarre that, you know, because you can't do this again. You can't say, oh, we're going to have another Slappy book with a dad who's a filmmaker, horror filmmaker. So he wasted that. He just used that as a gimmick, or he just used it to, you know, do something slightly different.
Yeah, and it's not like he's not aware of being on a movie set, because, you know, they've done those Goosebumps movies. He's been on the set of TV shows where they did the Goosebumps shows.
And you know what else would have been really cool, Safi? What if he did like a meta thing where this is set in the 90s and they're filming episodes of the old Goosebumps series? So, like, maybe in this one they're filming The Haunted Mask or something, and Slappy is on the set of like a Goosebumps episode filming. That would have been so cool. Oh!
No, they probably could still do that.
That would have been fun.
But I guess they're not doing it. He's not doing any more Slappy books, right?
He's doing a new Goosebumps series called, like, Shivers or something. I don't know. Like, it's something about... I don't know. The first book comes out, I think, this month or next month, so we have to look that up to review it.
So, we both gave it a C+.
Yeah, because I couldn't say the book is just average, because there were a couple of things I liked. Like, in general, I enjoyed the book, I guess because of the reader. But
I just thought it went on too long.
Yeah, so far, for me, it is the worst of the Slappy stories of this series, Slappyworld. So I will say that. What about you, Safi?
It was a good idea to have, I mean, that's completely different. To have twins and one's good and one's bad, but then it was just, it was a fake, because he was really bad and pretending to be bad. And also, why was the title of the book is misleading? Because it says Slappy's evil twin, or my evil twin, or whatever.
I am Slappy's evil twin.
And so that's implying that one is good and one is bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
By saying that. But that's not true. They're both bad. So anyway, I thought it was pretty good too, just because of the idea, and it was good all the way to the end, except with that idea, except when he said, "I'm really bad." We'll do an update, because I still have the book on my Hoopla. We'll do an update on what happened to the other Slappy, because I think, from what I read, I thought he just flew like 2 yards, 3 yards, whatever away, and they didn't know where he was.
I could have sworn that the dad picked up both dummies, and the kid said, "No, you throw that one in the fire, because that one is the bad one because of the eye color, and keep this one."
It was important to, well, when you thought one was good and one was bad, the eye color was important, because the good one had black eyes and the bad one had green, which I've already said over and over. And so, yeah, that eye color thing was important, and also the thing with the cover was bad. But I don't think it was the person's fault. So, by not making a distinction. If that's, I mean, they talk about this in the book several times about the eye color. It's not just like you have to look through the whole book and it's buried in there. It's mentioned several times. So there's no excuse for that color, the picture, the eye color in the cover.
There's so many other things they could have done too. Like, I just thought of something else, you know. They said that Jamal was a genius. They could have had, like, a part where the dummies are on set and Slappy comes to life and completely screws up a scene and terrifies people and hurts people, and then maybe the dad thinks that Jamal, like, made, like, a robot dummy or something. Like, that would have been cool.
Well, another thing too is
That's all we're saying with this book, like, because, like, everything that happened in the book was just so, like, mediocre and
well, they just could have made
mundane.
They just could have done more, and used and taken out like a half an hour's worth of bullshit. Sorry, and put in some good stuff. I just thought they could have gotten rid of Slappy a lot earlier because, like I said, because their constant fighting would be their undoing, and it was. It wasn't the same.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of this book. It reminds me of Taco Bell because, like, Taco Bell, they always come out with these new items, and sometimes they're just so, like, boring and, like, you know, just, it's always the same old stuff put together in just different ways. That was this book.
Yeah. So, that's it. And our next review will be... It will be probably...
No, it will be Trancers 2.
And then also Master Chef, which is still going, and starts tomorrow, I believe. I mean, it's not starts, it continues tomorrow night. Because tomorrow's Wednesday.
Yeah, 2 hours.
Oh, God. I hate that. Okay. So, Trancers, what'd you say, 2? And Master Chef, the next 2 episodes. I really don't like that. I feel like you can't even give a fair review of the episodes when they're just so many, too many lumped together, and 2 is too many, I believe. I don't know. And that's also the time. That's 2 hours of time.
Yeah.
You know, just 1 is good enough. It's just, you can't just devote your entire life to Master Chef. And it's really not fair to the show.
You could.
Not fair to the...
You could.
Yeah, if you were...
a weirdo.
If you were Joe, or... Aaron, or even Chef Ramsay, who has several shows on TV. I don't know how... And his own restaurants. I don't know how he does it. So, I don't know. So anyway, everybody, goodbye.
Bye!